So, with your creative group, can you go into some of the details? What gives you the passion to create what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I pretty much have two sides of my business. I have the website design and the graphic design where I help people, like a lot of small businesses and nonprofits, with their marketing. And then I have another part of my business that I started during COVID. It was sort of born out of COVID because, obviously we were all sequestered and we couldn't be out and doing as much and stuff. And so I learned how to do repeat pattern design.
We just come from an amazing event. We're going to start another EIC, Entrepreneur Impromptu Conversations, and I have the esteemed pleasure to be sitting here with another guest from one of the networking cohorts that I'm with. I'm going to have her introduce herself, and we'll get into it.
Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate you having me. My name is Ellen Morse. I own Ellen Morse Creative. I'm a graphic designer, website designer, and I'm an artist as well. So,
wow, you do a lot. We've been in a group for almost a year, and I've learned a little bit about you. You've collaborated with a number of people and done some stuff for some individuals in real estate. Can you tell me how you got into creating things?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I went to school for illustration to Syracuse University many years ago, and started my career back in the 90s, actually, in New York City. I was doing publishing. I was doing layouts for a weekly magazine. And then from there, started in ad agencies. And
got it. So
yeah,
that is awesome. So dial it back a little bit.
Yep.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from the Buffalo area, Williamsville. So, born and raised there. And then, like I said, went to Syracuse for school, but then I was away from the area for about 20 years. I was started my career in New York City, and then moved out to Chicago and was at an agency there for a while, and then San Francisco, Columbus, Ohio, and then Phoenix. But I've been back in the area now for 15 years, so I've been back a while, but I was away for about 20. So
wow, I did not know that. So
yeah.
What got you to come back to Buffalo?
Family. Yeah, family is here, and at the point when I did move back, our children were pretty young. They were like in first and third grade, and so we had been in Phoenix, and just the schools out there were it was more challenging, being so far from home, but also just like the educational system's really different in Arizona than New York State. Well, you probably know that, being a teacher, having that background. And so it just seemed like the best move for us and, for our family. And yeah, I haven't regretted it for a second. I'm really happy to be in New York, Western New York.
I was going to ask you, do you regret it? Because a lot of people move away from Buffalo. I call it the boomerang state, because you explore out, you get to know what's out there, but then when you want to focus on your family, you come back to Buffalo.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what the case was for us.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So, with your creative group, can you go into some of the details? What gives you the passion to create what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I pretty much have two sides of my business. I have the website design and the graphic design where I help people, like a lot of small businesses and nonprofits, with their marketing. And then I have another part of my business that I started during COVID. It was sort of born out of COVID because, obviously we were all sequestered and we couldn't be out and doing as much and stuff. And so I learned how to do repeat pattern design. So something like similar to like what is on your shirt, where I learned how to create with my illustration, like a repeating pattern. Yeah, so I've done a lot of that, and I've done some wallpaper, some apparel. So that's been really fun. That's kind of it's still very creative, but it's a different avenue from helping small businesses with their marketing.
So you basically did a situational pivot.
Yep, exactly.
And how has that impacted your business?
It's been great because it's still creative, of course, but it's a little bit more flexibility and freedom in the creativity because a lot of times it's not client constraint. It's me creating a collection of patterns and then going from there and pitching it to get licensed and to for different opportunities. But it's just my original imagination kind of coming out without having to have those constraints. I mean, of course, you want to know like market trends and colors and things like that you definitely want to be aware of when you're designing. I mean, certain designs are going to land better than others in the market, but but it's been fun. I think it's been a nice enhancement, to like kind of my everyday. So
got it. So when you take on a client, everybody has some type of vision that they have for their business. How do you get someone to funnel into their creative space and be open to accept your creativity?
Great question. So a lot of times with clients, it's about who their audience is and who they're trying to reach, right, in their market. I mean, you're, I'm sure, very aware of this with your businesses. And so it's trying to get past a lot of the personal bias, like with design, like what they might like, and to really have that research and that, we try to, before we even start designing or doing anything, we really understand the business, ask a lot of the questions, do a lot of the interviews, do research on their market and their competitors, and really understand who they're talking to. And then that way, once the design process starts, we are more on the same page. I also do a lot of like mood boards initially so that we can make sure that, like if I say, I want something elegant and elevated, and you say, oh yeah, that's great, let's do that. Well, maybe my idea of elegant and your idea of elegant are two different things, right? So visually we want to match up.
Got it.
And before we even like start with logos or branding and all these things, we want to kind of have the same idea, who we're talking to, and then make sure that visually we're communicating that correctly. So
got it. So going through that processes, how do you creatively control the space that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with all of my clients, when I'm like, for instance, if I'm working on a brand, we start with that, with all the research and the the upfront questions and things like that, and then we move into those mood boards, and then from there we kind of disseminate what exactly who they're talking to and everything, and then that's when we get into more of the sketching and the the actual like designing itself. So, we break it down from there. So hopefully like once we get to the point where we're actually designing, I present like 3 different designs. We're at the point where, it's not going to be like a big surprise. It's not going to be like so out of left field. We're already on the same page.
I get it.
Yeah.
So there, you have your preliminary questions. They kind of have their idea of what they want, and then you help them have the reality check of this is the audience that you're speaking to. This is how you can effectively communicate to them.
Exactly.
To get your means to end, and that's to generate revenue.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. Yep.
And then helping them to make things cohesive.
Right.
Because some people throw websites together, and there are many different types of fonts that they have, and it's not really catchy to the eye.
Right.
So how, with your creative eye, you look at those things, because I'm kind of into some of the stuff that you do.
Yeah, you are. Yep.
How do you dial into that to know that eye? Because you have to have an eye for this type of stuff when it comes to design.
Yeah.
What gives you that drive and passion to be able to look at something and curate it to something that's appealing to the eye?
Yeah. I think just a lot of it is the experience. I mean, of course, you learn like the principles of design and hierarchy and being able to communicate like what you want someone's attention. For instance, if you're designing a website, the heading is going to, of course, like be a larger, standing out more, the main graphic, right away to grab someone's attention versus something smaller, or a call to action is going to be like a button is going to be in a brighter color. So some of those are just design principles that, designers follow, understand like composition and color and balance, things like that are, taught with design, and then also just you get better as you go, just to learn that more. I think that is really important. But we also build like a whole brand guide whenever I'm doing.
Got it. So that's
so there's like some rules to follow, so that if another vendor, you like say you have a whole logo designed by me, but then you want to have vehicle graphics, a vehicle wrap or something for your trucks. Well, obviously we want the same exact color, right? We want the exact same fonts, everything has to be consistent throughout all those marketing channels. So put together a brand guide that anyone can refer to, whether it's internal, external in the organization, and then people can say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, this is the color that we need to use for, like a screen versus something that's printed, and it needs to match, and things like that. Yeah,
there's a whole science to the whole design, and then translating and making sure that everything is cohesive.
Right. Exactly.
Now, another question I have for you is AI.
Yes.
AI now is doing some things that people never imagined it will do.
Yep.
But what helps you to still be in the creative space and work cohesively with AI?
Right. And I do use AI. I mean, I use AI pretty much every day, and I mean, it's not going anywhere, right? It's here to stay. So certainly with my workflow and my processes, just even when I put together my proposals for people, like, AI can generate things quicker, than I could do it especially if you've trained it as your agent, and then they know exactly like what language you want to speak in and stuff. Then, could in my pricing and things like that, for just my internal administrative tasks, things like that, I certainly use AI. And even for like a brainstorming, creativity. It was funny. I was working on a design, and I just thought, I'm going to see how this goes. I threw the JPEG in there, and I said, what would you change? Just to. I work mostly by myself. I do have some freelancers who I contract with, but it's kind of fun to, because I'm not in a big design studio or an agency anymore where I have, a bunch of art directors down the hall and stuff. So it is sort of funny just to see, like, well, okay, what's it going to say?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, you take it with a grain of salt, because it's all being trained by other designers, and, but as far as the actual, I use AI for that, but I don't ever use AI for, like, all my artwork's original and all my designs are original, because I don't want anything to be, like, especially if you're designing a logo, like, people will use a Canva logo. Well, none of that can be trademarked, things like that you have to really be aware of when people will make logos out of AI. And I've run into so many people who don't have the proper formats later on. Like, they'll get a logo from AI and it's in a JPEG, which basically means, like, okay, they can use that on a screen. Well, if they want to print it or like have a better resolution, they don't have the correct formats. It's not really original.
What is the format that it would need to be in to be able to be trademarked?
So, well, you want it to be vector based. So that means that it can be scaled, like, infinitely. It can be shrunk really small. It could go really large, and then you're not going to lose that resolution.
Quality.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
So you're embracing AI. You're training an AI agent to assist to enhance your delivery, basically.
Yeah.
Because some people look at it as a threat.
Right.
But AI has been there. We've been talking to our phones and doing all those things. We embrace that.
Yes.
So embracing it to help enhance our businesses is something that it's been there.
Right.
Embracing it, learning it, and adjusting, pivoting is gonna be essential, especially if you want to be successful in the 21st century.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be competitive, and your workflow, right? I mean, just to help me, like, with the day-to-day workflow, I definitely think it's super valuable. But there's other parts of it, where especially with art and like when I create my patterns and things like that, it's all original. A lot of times AI will like come up with a pattern design and it doesn't repeat correctly.
Got it.
Meaning like there's a break in the seam and it's not right technically. So
Got it.
there are still some limitations, of course, and I hope that like, you know, it's never to the point where it's gonna really replace us. But you know, when you think about it, like with writing and with art, the way it's getting all of that information is from artists and authors, and those people aren't being compensated. So, you know, there's definitely some ethical issues there with it, for sure.
So, we're in 2026. Where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
That's a great question. I think as far as my branding and design, the website, I'm thinking I'm starting to feeling more like a strategic consultant.
Okay.
So a lot of times, you know, I can go in and audit a site, or be able to kind of look at it more from like a higher level and what someone should do creatively.
Okay.
So I'm seeing, because I've been doing this for, you know, over 25 years, I feel like that's sort of the direction I'm going to be moving into, more of like creative consulting.
Got it.
Maybe not so much the day-to-day bill. Yeah, exactly.
Got it. That is cool. So for people watching, I typically ask my guests to speak to the camera and give a 30-second pitch for someone who's looking for your type business. Can you do that at this moment?
Sure. No problem. Oh, you're going to put me on the spot. But it's okay.
You can do it.
Okay,
It's you. It's Ellen Morse Creative. Come on.
Thank you. Okay, great. Ellen Morse Creative. I am a graphic designer. I'm an illustrator as well, but I work with mostly small to medium-sized businesses, a lot of 1 to 3 person service-based businesses on their branding and their website design. And I really help them be able to make sure that their brand is, first of all, stands out from their competitors and stands out in their audience, and then to make sure that their marketing materials and all of that is consistent throughout the board. So,
yeah, that is cool. Again, we've been in the same group for a year, and I've learned more about you today than I've learned in those rooms. I learned more. I also learned a lot when you did your presentation. The attention to detail and the things that you catch with your eye. It's a gift.
Oh, thank you.
And we have to use our gifts to help people in this world.
Yeah,
again,
absolutely.
It's been Ellen Morse from Ellen Morse Creative Group. She's a phenomenal person. Please reach out to her. Again, this has been another episode of EIC. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to helping her enhance her business with Ellen Morse Creative Group. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
It's been amazing. It's cool.
It's been awesome. It's great that you're doing this for our community and for everyone. It's just a huge service, a blessing for others. Yeah, that you're started this and that you're really helping a lot of entrepreneurs. So
thank you so much.
I
didn't pay her to say that, but thank you.
It's true, though. It's true. I think it's great.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.